Today I'm going to make strawberry jam. I'll put the list of ingredients and utensils on the front of my video. You can then pause and write them down, and then we'll get started. Okay, step one. We need jars that we've examined to make sure there are no chips in the top. They have to be real canning jars. We need brand new canning lids. Don't ever try to reuse the lids. And we need canning rings. And we're going to put them, I like to put a cloth in the bottom of the pot. Make sure to use a porcelain pot, maybe a stainless steel pot, but don't use aluminum. And we're going to put those on the heat and get them nice and warm while we prepare the strawberries. While our canning jars and lids are getting hot, we're going to chop up these nice fresh strawberries. So this is about the size that we want to chop them into, and I'm going to go ahead and keep doing this until I end up with enough strawberries to have 5 cups of crushed strawberries. So our strawberries are all chopped up, and we have a little bit less than 7 cups, but that should still be enough to measure out 5 cups of crushed berries. I'm going to crush up the berries a little bit. We want to end up with 5 cups of crushed berries, and after I do this, then we'll measure them into the pot. I like to use a nice porcelain pot for my jam. I've had this pot for quite a while. And I'm going to go ahead and measure in 5 cups of crushed strawberries. We're going to use Sure-Gel Pectin for our jam. I also like to add Dutch gel to it, which I get at the farmer's market, 1/3 of a cup, because I'm extra cautious and I want to make sure that my jam will actually gel. I've added the pectin to the strawberries and the Dutch gel, and now I stir that up with the strawberries. Try to coat them evenly. Before we actually start making the jam, we need to measure our sugar in advance so that it will be ready, because when our jam gets to a certain point, we're going to add the sugar all at once. I've put the strawberries with the Sure-Gel and the Dutch gel in the pot. I put it on high, and what we're going to do is keep stirring this constantly with it on high until it comes to what we call a full rolling boil. And I'll show you that when it gets time. It's been a few minutes, and we have now the jam up to about a full rolling boil, which means you can't really stir down the boiling. It's just going to keep bubbling even if you try to stir it down. We're going to take it off the heat for just a moment. This is why we need to have our sugar ready in advance. We're going to put the sugar in all at once, and then we will stir it up, and again we're going to wait for a full rolling boil. Now we're at a full rolling boil. I'm going to set the timer because we want to keep the jam boiling like this for a full 60 seconds. So I've taken the jam off the heat, and the next step is to prepare the jars. Some of the tools that I like to use, they're not essential but certainly helpful. I have a jar lifter, and we've been keeping these jars hot. And I'm going to start with one, and we'll fill it, and then we'll do the rest of them. So another really useful tool is this funnel, particularly for canning. So we're going to put the funnel in that glass the jar has to be nice and hot. And we want to leave enough headspace at the top so that when we process them, the jam doesn't spill all over the place. So I like to be a little bit generous with the headspace. Another really helpful tool is this nice magnet. This will come with a set. You can order them together, and it's very reasonably priced, and I would say essential. One thing you want to look out for when you're canning, you want to keep a nice clean cloth, because if there's anything sticky on the top, you want to make sure you clean that off before you put your lid on. We add the lid. Then we're going to screw on the top. Make sure it's on there, not too tight, but it has to be even. And then we'll get the rest of our jars ready. We have all of our jam jars ready, and we're going to use our jar lifter to put them in the hot water. I'm using 2 different pots. Because we're doing strawberries fruit jam, we do not have to use a pressure canner, but we certainly want to process these. We'll do that for 10 or 15 minutes. Our jam has been processing now for 10 minutes. I've turned the stove off. I'm using our jar lifter and placing the jars here on a cutting board. And within a few minutes, sometimes right away, you will hear the plink of the canning jar while the lid seals itself. And just one thing like that. One thing to keep in mind when you're home canning anything is always make sure you check the seal on the jar when you go to open it. So there you have it, strawberry jam. Just a little extra tip that I like to do after I finish canning. Having that nice hot water is a very good way to get your dishcloths clean. I let them soak a while, put them out on the line, and they smell wonderful. So we don't waste that energy.